Ah, December, where you can trudge through the sludge that is the Christmas family film genre and watch one every day for an entire year and yet never watch the same one twice. So I wonder what we've got first then on the list. That seems strange. I don't remember putting that on the list. Well, half of these films do tend to blend together. It's not surprising I've forgotten at least one. So, this week on Faulty Family Films, we're looking at Shelby, the Dog Who Saved Christmas. Not a good start to a movie when the production company can't even spell the word fizz correctly. With that plain orange background, Christians are going to complain about how this Christmas movie is part of the war on Christmas. We get an opening monologue that will set the tone for the movie, with Rob Schneider as Shelby not shutting the hell up.
That's Doug, the dog catcher. He seems to live to make my life miserable. Did I mention he talks too much?
I think that's the Labrador calling the Alsatian black there, Shelby. Especially when you realise that Shelby has the most lines of any character. Because how could they cut comedy gold like this?
See you later, sucker! You never catch me alive! My ears are aerodynamic, sucker. This look, my neck, I'd like to keep it attached to my body. Okay, cold. How much money we saving on the hot water?
I can't believe you don't shut up.
Though I can't really understand why Shelby wants to run away from this place. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that bad.
I knew if I didn't go my own way, I'd be headed for that big dog park in the sky. Every dog makes its way into that room, but they never seem to come out.
Except for the dog being put in an incinerator. What even the fuck, movie?
How does all this work? No concierge. I guess you just run around like a vagrant. Honestly, Francis, did your father put you up to this?
And how is it that with all the snow on the ground, this woman is still somehow the whitest thing in the movie?
Yeah. You got this one. Yeah. Well, it says here she used to be a model.
But that's the problem with dog models. They can't keep the weight down. I mean, every time they throw up, they eat it.
All right, here we go. Yeah, all right.
Him. I want him.
Not the brightest kid I've ever seen, but hey, whatever works.
And now we know Shelby's biggest trick, out-acting a human. After escaping from the pound, Shelby flees into the city with Doug chasing after him, due to being offered $1,000. And no wonder someone would pay $1,000, Shelby's apparently invulnerable, as he gets hit by a car while on the road, and yet just ends up on the pavement without a single injury.
Number for the vet, please.
Let me get this straight.
You'll be okay, buddy.
You hit me, and I don't even get an upgrade to be inside the truck?
And yet, even seemingly injured, he still doesn't shut up. Arriving at the Parker household, we're introduced to the fairly bland dad, Edward, who does very little in the movie, the mother Lily, who is dog-phobic, but only when the script tells her to be.
Sure there is, it's a dog.
What? You know I hate those animals.
The eldest child, Edward, who's what people who don't play video games think those that do are like.
This is Captain Mongoose to Barracuda. Barracuda, are you there?
The youngest child, Sally, who's constantly trying to out-cute the dog.
No, not with Mumbles. But I give you watermelons. Okay.
And finally our boy of this boy and his dog story, Jake, who wants to be a magician.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, nobody said he wanted to be a good magician. After a pointless scene with Doug the dog catcher, which is literally him getting in a car, we see Jake talking about his hero.
But they were illusionists. Shelby was an escape artist. The greatest of all time. P.T. Shelby, the master mystifier. You ever hear of him?
Well, you obviously haven't, because the guy's name was P.T. Selbit and not Shelby. Somehow I think the guy who's been dead for about 70 years is going to be more pissed about you getting his name wrong than you using his actual name.
Private Barracuda, I am on my way to the ravine. This is Operation Red Rover, and it's a go.
There's no actual game on that laptop, is there? He's just crazy.
Ghost, come out. Don't mess with me. I'm a very big, scary dude.
The kid's version of Paranormal Activity is everything I thought it would be. Jake finds Shelby downstairs and offers up the least convincing no since the last Star Wars film.
Where can I hide? Oh, this looks like a safe place.
No, stop.
What could go wrong here?
No!
I think I'm starting to have flashbacks to the dog father at this point. I mean, there's people acting like a fake military, there's a subpar child actor, and an annoying dog. All that we need is a piss-poor antagonist trying to catch it.
You see a dog jump into that bin?
Nope. What's he look like?
Looks like a dog. A vicious stray dog.
Nope. No vicious dog around here.
Really? None. Let's find out!
Oh, good God, it really is the dog father. Although I guess at the end of the day, it's just the same as any other low-budget family film with a boy and his dog. Once both boy and dog are back home, Jake learns that just being in Shelby's presence makes his magic tricks work.
Watch with amazement as I make this ball vanish.
Let me see that. What? Why would you hide it? Where'd the ball go? Where'd it go? What? Why? Once you have a ball, you don't make it go away. That's a crime against balls.
Well, either it's that, or it's because the camera cut away, meaning that the shot we're actually looking at is entirely different. Because who knows what would happen if, say, this camera just suddenly cut out. Huh. Suddenly I feel a lot more Christmassy.
There, now you'll be nice and warm. Sorry, partner, but I gotta go. We'll have to hide out down here till Christmas morning. Then I can say Santa brought you.
Which I'm sure will work perfectly, because there's nothing that a dog ever needs to do that it would try to get someone's attention for it to be able to.
Same principle, larger scale.
I apologize for that.
Did you just fart?
I can only hope, but I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure.
Suddenly I see a brown and smelly end to this plan. And I'm not talking about the dog. And now let us enjoy all the emotional range this movie has to offer.
Is it spelled D-O-R-K? Give me that! My Christmas present! Uh-oh, it's broken. That's so lame.
Truly an Oscar-worthy performance. If the category was the biggest waste of space in this movie. I mean, seriously, at this point, is there anything in this movie worth sticking around for?
Excuse me. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Dad, you made it.
Hi.
Suddenly everything got a whole lot better, or a whole lot worse. Which one did we get? Good Chevy or bad Chevy?
It feels empty.
Oh, well, that's because Santa told me you're naughty.
Santa on the bus, too? Fascinating.
Jacob, manners.
Sorry, Grandpa.
Oh, come on. That's a good observation. I didn't hear it on the bus.
Huh. A rarely seen mediocre Chevy. Interesting. We move on back to at home with Shelby.
And I mean go! Let me see, there's gotta be a place around here. This is ridiculous. When a dog's gotta go, he's gotta go.
My god, the same poop joke has been going on so long, even Family Guy would call this excessive. Though it is better than what else the movie has to offer, two separate and idiotic stereotypes.
Just put the whole bag in your mouth, why don't you?
No, man, I don't know what's happening to Private Barracuda. This guy AWOL. I'm half tempted to call it Code Orange.
Because that brief scene in this movie is what passes for character development. Or they were just trying to be funny. Either way, it fails. Shelby uses the other dog in the house as a poop-based scapegoat, despite the obvious size difference between the dogs, before we get Chevy Chase acting how people claim he is behind the scenes.
Let me guess, Thor?
Yeah. You know what? Bev used to clean up after Thor, so it's times like this where I really miss her the most.
Steve, we can't all be winners.
And what's even better, that's a running joke in the film. Because what is Christmas if you're not being berated by your family for never having achieved anything? Or is that just me?
My name is Doug, and I'm the dog catcher. I'm looking for a stray dog.
No, Dad, don't get it. It could be a burglar. I heard they do that on Christmas.
What the hell is with the music in this scene? It's like the Imperial March, but someone only left in a third of the intimidation.
Escaped? That sure is a relief. Bet she's long gone by now. Yes, sirree. We don't want any stray dogs around here. Whew, you can leave now.
And I'm getting worried because I think this kid went to the Ghost Club school of acting. And I get that maybe it's supposed to be bad because he's supposed to be lying, but his parents take it as fact.
The dog might have rabies.
Oh.
Rabies?
Yeah.
On Christmas?
Christmas rabies, which are the worst rabies. Trust me.
What was that? Is it the rabies?
Oh look, there's that plot-convenient dog fear again. I wonder where it was when the dog crapped in the kitchen earlier. Shelby talks to Jake about possibly leaving, and I say possibly because while the film shows us this...
I'm more of a lone wolf, you see? If I'm not here tomorrow, I want you to know I appreciate all you've done for me.
I would like to remind you, in reality, it's actually this. Which is why the whole dog speaking in his own head idea doesn't work if he's trying to have a conversation with someone. Shelby escapes from downstairs because he's hungry, and let me guess, we have that overly used cliche where Jake and Shelby are both under the table and yet no one notices a thing and Jake's excuse for being under the table is poorly acted.
Oh, Jacob, what were you doing under the table?
I'm sorry. I was trying a magic trick, but I guess I messed up as usual.
Called it.
And let's not forget the questionable moment when somebody should totally call the cops. And once again, nobody does anything, and their emotion is simply...
No surprise! So you're wrong, Mr. Nelson!
Though I can't say I'm too surprised, given that the very next scene has 3 grown adults doing shit all to stop 2 fairly docile dogs from wrecking a kitchen.
Is that a dog or a horse?
Get the door. Kids, upstairs right now. Let's go. Come on. Upstairs. Stray dogs. Rabies.
What's wrong with her? She's never seen 2 dogs destroy Christmas before?
Well, obviously she hasn't, but I imagine I'm going to see a fair few by the time this theme month is over. Eventually, Doug catches Shelby, who once again has another heartfelt conversation with Jake. Except once again, here's what the movie shows us.
Look, Jake, just forget you ever met me. It's better this way.
And here would be the reality. And it seems stupid to have a scene like that when you've got a very similar scene right after it with Jake and his grandpa that works far better. Because this way they don't have to just sit around blankly staring and wait for the dog to finish its lines. Jake is given a box by his grandpa and is surprised by what's inside.
The key to being a good magician is to follow your heart. Magic can make the impossible possible. For Jake. Signed, Filbert Thomas Shelby.
What is it with this movie and the name P.T. Selbert? I don't get it. Why are you so adverse to saying the guy's name? Why make up a variation of the name P.T. Selbert if at the end of the day the person you're going to describe and have one of the main characters talk about for most of the movie is a real person? Why not just use his actual name? Why not just say P.T. Selbert?
It's showtime.
Wait, that's his real name? Suddenly that explains way too much. Deciding to rescue Shelby, because we're still an hour in and have 30 minutes to fill, Jake gathers his team.
I need the world's greatest computer hacker, the world's best demolitions expert, and the world's most flexible contortionist. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know how to begin to get a hold of them.
So instead, we're stuck with the other kids in this movie who have had little to no screen time or any discernible personality. Though this film is lucky that I've seen The Dogfather, because in comparison to that movie, these characters all seem deep and complex. Moving on to the final part of the movie, the kids use the old Trojan horse technique to sneak the little girl inside, while outside Jake is breaking the laws of physics.
I will now walk straight through the fence.
Yeah, just don't get squished.
Jeez, I have to admit that was amazing.
Yes, I would have to admit that's amazing, because he literally walked through a chain link fence. I think the writer got confused between David Copperfield magic and Harry Potter magic. Once everyone's inside, things go to hell in a handbasket as the lady from the beginning shows up, and then this happens.
No, stop! You're gonna hurt him! I own him! He's mine!
Lady, what the fuck? Not only did you just try to hit a dog, but a kid as well? It's like the film just suddenly hit a massive tonal shift and went dark. What are you going to do next? Put Shelby in the incinerator?
Where's Shelby? Santa saved him.
How did Santa save him, honey?
I put him in the incinerator.
What? Seriously, movie? The fuck is wrong with you? Okay, so the dog is fine, no surprise there. But the movie seriously runs with this extremely dark idea for a fair few minutes before revealing how he was saved. And as you might have guessed, at no point does anyone seem at all shocked or surprised by either the death or the dog's magical reappearance. Hell, even Jake's reaction to the dog burning was just this.
No.
Sure, he knows that's not what happened, but the audience doesn't. It just makes him seem like a terrible actor. The film wraps up everything with the most out-of-left-field moral message I've ever seen, as Shelby talks about how Christmas is a time to bring families and other loved ones together.
The true joy of Christmas is making other people happy. And when other people are happy, magic just seems to happen all by itself. And magic and happiness can be a powerful thing.
Which I'll admit is a wonderful message to give to everybody, However, because the writer was so distracted with dogs farting, it doesn't get brought up in the film. Also, the end does kind of explain the whole beginning bit with Doug and the incinerator, as he was actually taking the dogs in, not burning them. At least I think that's what it's saying, because you can see the same dog from the beginning in the ending shot. It does kind of make sense. You know, in comparison to sticking live dogs in incinerators. Let's just talk about this movie. Shelby the Dog Who Saved Christmas isn't exactly a terrible film, even by my usually harsh standards, but it is a film without focus. If the ending message is what the film is intending to try and get through to people, then it needs to spend more time developing that idea, instead of making poor jokes and having weak characters play out equally weak scenes. The issue is a lot of the characters are only here to fill a specific purpose, instead of being characters. The rich and abusive woman at the end is one example, only being seen once before in the whole movie before showing up at the end so that another character can deliver a rather obvious message. Additionally, you have the cousin who has no screen time and is just there to be their tech experts during the rescue, the love interest for the brother who's only there to serve as a distraction later on, despite also barely any lines, as well as the uncle who's there to... I'm not actually sure why he's there. He literally does nothing in the film, except for being abused by Chevy Chase. A script like this needs to be more tight-knit to pull this off well. Characters could easily be removed and their roles traded out with no issue while making other characters more developed. For example, if they got rid of the cousin and uncle characters and instead gave the brothers love interest and tech skills, it would allow their relationship to flourish on screen, since all of that's just left by the wayside until the scene at the very end. If you also add in that she's the one the brother has been playing video games with, instead of Doug, which also has no real bearing on the plot, then suddenly you've got two characters who are connecting in a very unique way. The acting in this is fine from the adults and ranges from fine to poor on the kids, especially Jake, which isn't surprising since out of all the kids, he has the most screen time. While he does seem to be trying, there's a lot of times where it comes off more fake than natural, and others where he seems more nonplussed about situations where in reality, any kid would be hysterical. Especially if a dog was set on fire. Seriously, I know I'm hung up on that, but what the hell? And speaking of dogs set on fire, let's talk about Shelby. The movie overuses the talking dog bit, with every shot he's in having some sort of joke. But the problem is, they fall flat far more often than they ever get a hit. Even when scenes could play out with no commentary from Shelby, they decide to stick it in, which just makes the character seem obnoxious. So much so that I think even Short Round from Temple of Doom would tell this dog to shut up. At the end of the day, this movie did try to deliver a message, but unfortunately it got distracted in doing that, and instead offered up a weak lesson that fits the season, but not the rest of the film. So for now, I've been Tyas, this has been Faulty Family Films, and I'll see you next time.